testimony, I started to achieve some fame. I was named a fellow to the Royal Society for the Encouragement of the Arts, a group that included the likes of Charles Darwin and Benjamin Franklin in earlier days. It was very unlikely that any American, let alone a Negro American, would receive this honor. I also received the Theodore Roosevelt Medal, presented to me by his son in New York City. I then also received an award from the Variety Clubs of America. Then, I received an award that really surprised me. That occurred in 1923, when I was honored by the United Daughters of the Confederacy. Yeah, that would surprise me. Surprised me. But while I wasn't too enamored by the attention, I was pleased that the purpose of my work was starting to get some attention. Again, the purpose of my work has always been to help to improve the health and living conditions of the Southern farmer. That's one reason why I didn't patent any of my products or discoveries for personal gain. I wanted everybody to be able to benefit from whatever I could create. As I've said many times, the Lord charged me nothing for these ideas. You can have them for the price of a postage stamp. All you have to do is write me. That's right. So I was pleased that that work was starting to achieve some attention. I was also one of the founders of a new area of research, a new way of thinking called Chemergy. And Chemergy, that is the development of industrial uses for farm products. In fact, it was at a Chemergy conference in Dearborn, Michigan in 1937 that I met Henry Ford. And some of you folks, you may have seen Mr. Ford when he was here last year. As you may know, he's come to visit me every year since 1937. You may have heard how he bought that elevator that I now have in my dormitory. It was tough for me to walk up those 3 flights of stairs. Henry Ford saw it and he said, "Professor Carver, I'm going to pay to have an elevator installed for your use." Yes, he did. You may have heard how me and the president of Tuskegee, we just went to Wayne, Georgia, because Henry Ford built a school for colored children and named it after me. You may have heard the rumor that he offered me a salary of over $100,000 a year to come work for him. Have you heard that rumor? Well, I won't tell you if it's true or not, but it's true. But again, I turned him down because I believe I was necessary and needed where I was at. And I learned long ago, my Aunt Mariah Watkins, who took me in when I lived in the little town in Neosho, Missouri, she said, "Georgie, lift as you climb. Lift as you climb." That's what she told me. She told me other things too. And I'll tell you, I learned a lot from her. She gave me specific advice about church. Do you want to hear it? Do you all want to hear it? The specific advice that my Aunt Mariah Watkins gave me about going to church was this. She said, "Georgie, go to church." Did you get it? Did you get it all? Okay. Well, that's what she said. But I learned so much from her. She showed me how to use different wild plants and fruits and berries as medicines. And I never forgot that. In fact, I'm pretty proud of that. I met President Franklin Roosevelt. I met President Theodore Roosevelt. I met Eleanor Roosevelt. I've been honored to get to know these people. I've also met some people you might be surprised that I know. Joe Louis. How many of you remember where you were when Joe Louis defeated Max Schmeling to become heavyweight champion of the world a couple years ago? You remember where you were? Well, in 1939, about 3 years ago, I did a radio program in Chicago, Illinois with Joe Louis. And during that radio program, Joe Louis, he put up his hands like this. And he said, "You see these hands? These hands are worth $1 million. And then he looked at me. I got worried. I thought he was going to hit me. But then he said, "And you know what, Professor Carver? I bet your hands are worth $1 million too." Let us give Joe Louis, the heavyweight champion champion of the world. A round of applause. I've also had the pleasure of knowing Will Rogers, the great newspaper man and writer and humorist. The Crown Prince of Sweden came here to Tuskegee to visit me. I also have been honored to correspond with several great people, including W.K. Kellogg and his brother J.H. Kellogg. As you may know, W.K. invented Frosted Flakes. He also started this little company. I hope it works out for him.